Riveter Nation? Halo the Riveter coming at you once again this Freedom Friday morning. Woo woo! I love Freedom Friday. I love Freedom Friday. So this is our second Freedom Friday that we've done this segment. So our second week doing this. And so last time we talked about We the People. If you didn't have a chance to see that video, I will link it up on the screen somewhere. All right, so yeah, second week. What I'm going to be talking about is probably one of the best times for America, a victory. Last time we talked about World War II and the victories that we were able to get then. So this time it's a little bit different. It's a little different kind of fight. So I'm going to be talking about Apollo 11, so the space race. I want to talk about America's ingenuity and their inventiveness, their creativeness, and now everything that they have going for them, their will, determination. All right, so I'm gonna talk about a specific group of people in NASA. I want to talk about, of course, our three famous astronauts. I mean, they get all the glory, but there's hundreds, thousands, possibly hundreds, thousands, and millions of people behind them, backing them, so they can, ultimately get their goal. And so I'm going to kind of set the scene. It was 1961. Kennedy was president, and at this point in time, the Soviet Union had already gotten up their first rocket into space. They had sent their first animal into space, and on their rocket they had also gotten a satellite into space, Sputnik. So definitely the Soviets were winning this Cold War. They were not winning the Cold War. They were winning and killing us in the space race. Just victory and victory and victory that they had accomplished. So what President Kennedy did was he said, all right, it was 1961. They had already gotten all these victories. He said, okay, I'm issuing a challenge to NASA that by the end of the decade, I want to have one man on the moon. Okay, so that's, you have to think about where we were technologically. I don't think NASA ever thought that they would be at that current point, So he issued that challenge, 1961. Get out of this dude's way. Obviously driving too slow for him. And so I said, okay. So Kennedy was very ambitious. He wanted us to, get some real skin into the space race. Soviets had already, like I said, gotten a rocket, gotten a satellite, gotten an animal, which, for all my PETA people, if you're watching, I really have a bone to pick with the Soviets because they got their dog into space, or a dog into space, and they kind of had no real way of retrieving that dog. So literally the dog, even though the dog didn't die of hunger, I actually looked it up, the dog died of overheating. Some kind of engine overheated, and that killed the dog. Horrible times. But and it was a win for the Soviets. How cruel are they? Anyways, so once Kennedy enforced that, he said, you know what, this is my challenge to you. So instead of a huge, I don't know, I wasn't there at that time, I don't know how big, if there was any backlash. It was a pretty ambitious goal, just to kind of elevate America over the Soviets at that current point. But what our people did, true Americans, or just our American people, our brotherhood and our sisterhood, they said okay, and they got to work. They put their heads down and they started, putting their heads together. How are we going to do this? How are we going to accomplish this? And you have to think about, what goes into space travel. It's a huge thing to overcome mentally. At this point in time, honestly, it was like a guaranteed suicide mission if you had agreed to sit on a rocket and go into space, because there were so many unknowns. It wasn't like space travel is nowadays, where it's like guaranteed. Are you gonna slow down, dude? It's like guaranteed you go up there, you're gonna be in the space station chilling for a few months, few weeks, and then come back down to the good old US of A. That's not how it was at all. Very unknown. All right, so Our 3 astronauts that ended up being who ultimately ended up being on Apollo 11 was Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong, and Michael Collins. So what they had to do, you know, is they were not only going to hit the moon, they were going to actually land on it and get a man on the moon. So long story short, you have to think about everything that could possibly go wrong and multiply it by a million, because you have all these different variables. You know, of course we could only guesstimate so much. We don't really know how, at that point in time they had no idea or bearing on, you know, the lack of gravity and how that affected certain things. So there was a million big and small things that had to go right in this space mission, and there is, you know, potentially 100 million things that could go wrong. And ultimately, I mean, we know the story. If you guys know your history, those 3 men did not only land on the moon. Well, Michael Collins didn't land on the moon, but he kind of looped around the moon. But Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, they did ultimately land on the moon. And not only did they land on the moon, but they stepped out of their spacecraft and they walked on the moon. And so, I mean, you have to see the technology that they had at this day and age in NASA was nowhere near where we are now. You know, a lot of if you talk to, or if you look at the documentaries or the commentaries of these people who were, you know, part of NASA at that time, they said, you know what, you guys have more technology, and your computer in your phone that you hold on to and use every day has more technology than the computers that we were using to make all these calculations. Think about that. You know, those computers were in charge of putting human beings on the moon. And we were nowhere near where we are now, technologically sound. So basically, you know, they geared up, like I said, they accepted the challenge. Is there a stop sign? No, it's just a slip down sign. So they accepted the challenge. They buckled down in 1969. So way before the end of the decade. Well, I mean, it was kind of close. And of course, you know, Kennedy had gotten assassinated, so he was not there to see the fruit of his challenge or the fruit of NASA's labor either. But President Eisenhower was. And we ultimately put 3 men on the moon. You have to think about this. You know, like I said, these men were making a sacrifice going to the moon. Of course, a lot of people thought this was a suicide mission. I cannot imagine sitting in their wives' shoes and thinking, you know, this is my partner or my husband's dream and his goal. But I mean, we have a family, we have children, and if something were to happen to them, you know, how am I going to pull through with this? And you have to be thinking about what these guys were thinking. I don't even think that was, you know, a notation in any mind that it was possible. But they did it. They truly did it. And that is America. You know, it was a bunch of people from different fields, different walks of life, set with one goal, you know, united with one final victory that they were trying to achieve. And of course it wasn't final, because we want to go on and, you know, achieve more. We're Americans. Once we plunder, we want to take it all. But yeah, we took the race, you know, and the space race, in my opinion, we planted. And that's the thing is, you know, we may have planted the American flag on the moon, but I forgot the exact wordage on the plaque, so I'm not going to lie to you guys about that. The plaque that they put on there, you know, was saying that this was for Earth. This was a victory of humankind. You know, America just didn't blatantly take you know, all that credit or whatever. I mean, we did it, but we left that plaque on the moon, just, you know, saying that this was for humankind. And, you know, just let everybody have a piece of that. And you have to think about the people on Earth. You know, I wasn't alive at that time. Going too slow for Onyx. You know, that was a victory that, you know, no matter where you were at that current point of time on the Earth, looking at this victory that everybody thought was not possible actually occurring. Like I said, Freedom Friday is celebrating the greatness of America and how great and amazing this country is, because especially in this time where there's so much, you know, hostility going on, you know, America's divided. Like I said, Freedom Friday is not putting me or placing me in any kind of party, political party. It's just literally being an American and being proud of our ancestors and, you know, our fellow Americans who accomplished so much, you know, giving them that. So Apollo 11 space race, it's always been, you know, something that's super cool. I mean, it's not as popular as so much in the forefront of the news now or anything like that, but we have come so far as far as where we had initially started. And you had to think about that, tying this back into motorcycle related content. If President Kennedy had not set that goal in place, you know, hitting the moon by the end of the decade, would we have accomplished that? Would anybody have even thought that was possible? And you have to think about that when you're riding. You know, you set that goal for yourself to learn how to ride a motorcycle, and sometimes, like, is that even possible? Can I do it? But if you put your mind to it, you gather your thoughts, you strategically plan, and you just put it into effect, you can do it, you know. And that comes with a lot of hard work, determination, and yeah, there's going to be a ton of losses on the way, but the ultimate victory, you know, getting up on a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever day you get up on it, you're like, hey, I'm gonna ride today, and being able to, you know, overcome fear that you have and just riding, that is the ultimate victory that we plan to fight for. So my fellow patriots, my fellow Americans, I really thank you for coming along with me on this journey through you know, reliving Apollo 11 and the great victory that America had won because of it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Have a good weekend. I cannot wait to see you soon. Talk to you guys later. If you like this video, go ahead and give it that thumbs up. If you want more content, subscribe. And if you really want to know when I'm dropping my next video, then go ahead and hit that bell icon. For now, I can probably give you guys a timeline. I usually upload on Tuesday and Friday. So Friday has definitely been dedicated to Freedom Friday. And Tuesday is just whatever else pops in my crazy deranged head. Thank you guys so much for listening. Like I said, follow me. If you like it, you can, you know, drop a comment. Why do you love America? Hopefully we can talk about this later on. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have, like I said, a good rest of the day, a good weekend, and I'll see you soon. Deuces.